Fantasy Fuel is powered by Poll Sports. Get instant fantasy football advice through real-time polls by visiting pollsports.com.
Cards are dealt the other way now, and for the last time, no more shuffling.
All right, welcome back to yet another episode of Fantasy Fuel Shuffling the Deck. I am Tom Tuttle. Today, we're moving on to another division in the NFC, and we are going to select the Seattle Seahawks first to shuffle the deck and find out who we're going to get. I like the Seahawks. They got a little bit of inexperience, but they also have a little bit of stars that we could end up selecting. We'll find out who we select, and we're going to do that right now. All right, it's going to be Russell Wilson. This is one of them guys that, yes, is a star. I really like Russell Wilson. I have for a while now. It's been a long time that, he's just been good. He's been really, really good throughout his career. Last year, we saw Wilson and Lockett were on the right page together. They really did some great things. I think everybody kind of knows that they were on the same page last year, and they did some really cool things. I know he's losing Baldwin, and I've seen a lot of people think that weighs more than I think it does. I think Baldwin was good. There's no doubt about that. But I think that I fully expect Metcalf to become the number one wide receiver on this team probably by the end of the season. And if Wilson and Metcalf get together on the same page fast, it could end up in a pretty good season for both of them. I also think that throughout the career of Metcalf and Wilson, as long as they're on the same team together, I think it could be something pretty big in the future. But what about this year? Does Russell Wilson have good fantasy year this year? Does he have the kind of year that he's had in the past? I guess what I'm going to ask you is, what makes you think that he wouldn't have a good fantasy year? He was in the top 10 last year in fantasy for being a fantasy quarterback. I think he was actually 8th last year, which is kind of down if you think about it, because in 2017, he was actually the highest scoring fantasy quarterback. He has never thrown less than 20 touchdowns in a single year. That's pretty good. I really like that. In 3 out of the last 4 seasons, he has thrown for 30 or more touchdowns. So I don't understand where some of this is coming from, where there's a lot of people kind of down on him. Not down so much, they still like him, but they're just not ranking him as high as what I would. He also had a 110.9 quarterback rating this last year, which is really good. And he tore apart zone defenses last year. Now you thinking, well, that must have been, Mahomes must have done that. Of course, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady probably did that. No, they do that. But guess who was the best? The best was Russell Wilson against zone defenses. He had the highest passer rating of all of the other quarterbacks against zone defenses. Higher than Mahomes, higher than Luck, higher than Brady, higher than Rodgers, and even Matt Ryan, who actually was pretty good himself against zone defenses last year. So despite all of these stats that I'm giving you, all of these things that you can say about Russell Wilson and to show that he has had success, not just this last year, but throughout his career, he's still being undervalued in fantasy football. Now, you might be saying, prove it. Okay, well, let me try to prove that just a little bit. Here's a list of all the guys that have been taken in most drafts before Russell Wilson. Now, not every time does this happen, and not every scenario all of these guys be taken before Russell Wilson, but it kind of paints you just a little bit of a picture that can show you just kind of how crazy undervalued Russell Wilson can be this year. I'd say about 90% of the time you're seeing Baker Mayfield taken before Russell Wilson. Seems kind of crazy to me because I like Russell Wilson more than Baker Mayfield. Now, I understand where people are coming from when it comes to Baker Mayfield. He showed you a lot of spark last year, and he has one of the best wide receivers in the game now. I get it. But about 90% of the time is what I'm thinking is he is being taken before Russell Wilson in most drafts. And then after that, it probably gets a little more dicey. I'd say somewhere around 50% of the time you're seeing Carson Wentz, Phillip Rivers, Kyler Murray, Jared Goff. They're all being taken before Russell Wilson. I'd say about 50% of the time. It's not every time. Russell Wilson, like there are people out there that really still do like Russell Wilson. Like me, I know John Eddie Jr., my co-host at Fantasy Fuel, he still likes Russell Wilson. I think he actually has him higher on his rankings than I do. So not everybody's down on Russell Wilson, but there are people out there taking Wentz, Rivers, Kyler Murray, and Jared Goff before Russell Wilson. And then there's probably about 20% of people, and this doesn't happen very often, but you see somebody taking Cam Newton over Russell Wilson. And then you always see that the few people going for Tom Brady. But yes, there's people out there taking Cam Newton and Tom Brady before Russell Wilson. It's weird. I get it. I understand some of it. Some people might not just be educated enough. And then you see this one I've only seen like one or two times, but I wanted to throw it out there just to give you some kind of comparison here. I've seen Josh Allen be taken before Russell Wilson. Like I said, it's only been one or two times that I've seen this happen, and this is probably not going to happen, most of the time. And this is not something that's typical in most drafts. However, if you want to make an argument for Carson Wentz, Phillip Rivers, or even maybe Baker Mayfield, that's fine. I'll let you have it. I'll let that go. That's not a problem. But if you're talking about Kyler Murray's never even taken a snap in the NFL. You're taking him before Russell Wilson? Come on. I mean, you are stretching it now. That is unreal to me that you would have Kyler Murray ahead of Russell Wilson. Then you got Jared Goff. He had a pretty big year. I can sort of understand that too, but I still like Russell Wilson way more than Jared Goff right now. And then Cam Newton, come on, guys. That's unreal. Tom Brady, I understand where some people are going there. He's had some big years in the past. I get it. I don't do that. I think Russell Wilson's way better than Tom Brady when it comes to fantasy football this year. But Josh Allen or anybody else, that is just insane. If you like Josh Allen, that's fine. But don't take him before Russell Wilson. You don't even take a quarterback then. You wait till Josh Allen falls to you because you're going to get Josh Allen. If Josh Allen is taken before Russell Wilson, you just say, I can get Russell Wilson then. No big deal. You do not take somebody on that lower echelon of players. Josh Allen was not that good based on his numbers in real football. Now, this year could be a different story. I think Josh Allen has a really good chance to be something, not just this year, but somewhere in the future. But we're talking about Russell Wilson, a guy who just 2 years ago, was the number one quarterback in fantasy football. And we're also talking about a guy who was in the top 10 last year. Yes, I know he's losing Baldwin, but he has Metcalf. I think Metcalf could be one of the best wide receivers in the league at some point. I could be dead wrong about that. That's my view on him for like Dynasty, because I really do like Metcalf. But when I heard that he was going to the Seahawks, that Metcalf was going to the Seahawks, I was thinking, wow, this is perfect for Russell Wilson. Absolutely perfect. That's the type of wide receiver Russell Wilson needs. And I think it's going to work out. Not just work out, but I think it's going to work out really well. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for me on Russell Wilson. But I do want to remind you guys to go ahead and check out pollsports.com because it is a really cool website. You get to answer all your questions answered, and you can also answer questions for other people. And don't forget to check out John Eddie Jr.'s episode of Ride, where he focuses on an individual defensive player. That's going to be really good going forward for him. I do like them. They're all really good. The ones that he's done are really good and insightful. And listen, if you're in a defensive league, sometimes you don't really know the guy. You just kind of think, I like this guy, whatever. But if you dig deep into it, you can win your league from your defensive players. So it's really important. Go ahead and check that out. Don't forget to check out Fantasy Fuel as our regular episodes. We have done our rankings. You can go on our website, fantasyfuelpodcast.com. Check out our rankings. Check out our mock drafts. Check out pretty much everything that we've done is on there. So go ahead and do that. If you're watching us on YouTube, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. And if you're doing that, you might as well click that notification bell as well. That way you get notified every single time we do an episode. And if you can find us pretty much anywhere, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, pretty much everywhere, Spotify, we are there. You can look anywhere for us. We will be there. And I want to thank you guys for listening. We really do appreciate all of you listening and giving your support to us. So please remember to stay fueled up this offseason.